Hey everyone! So what is the object marker? Let's talk about how to use it first of all. Object marker will attach directly to a noun. Now a noun is just anything, any person or a place. My house, me, Korea is a place, Korea is a noun. Any sort of noun will go directly before the object marker. And it'll change a little bit depending on whether that noun ends with a consonant or ends with a vowel. If it ends in a consonant, well then you're going to attach and if it ends with a vowel, you're going to attach le. So what does the object marker do? Well, it shows the object of an action verb. What is an object? With an action verb, an object is just a language term that means whatever noun, whatever thing or person or place that an action verb is directly affecting. And the object marker marks whatever thing any action verb is affecting. It shows who or what that action verb is doing something directly to. That means it can only be used with action verbs. So if you have a descriptive verb, that could be something like to be funny, to be hungry, to be green, to be tall, anything that's just describing something, or to exist, or to be. Those are descriptive verbs. You cannot mark what it's doing with the object marker because it's not affecting anything. I'm going to give you some examples of some really common verbs that I see people misusing the object marker with. Ita. Ita means to exist. You're not existing something, you're saying something exists. So if you say, I have a pen, 저는 펜이 있어요. You're not really saying I have, you're not saying exist, I exist a pen. You're saying, as for me, there exists a pen. So you could never use the object marker with ita. 좋다. It means to be good. This verb is not doing anything to a noun. It's just a descriptive verb. So there can never be an object marker with this verb. So you could never say something object marker 좋아요. If you want to say I like something using 좋다, well, even if you want to use this, it could not be with the object marker. You'd have to use it with something else. For example, the subject marker, 이 or 가. If you wanted to say straight, I like something with the object marker, you would use a different verb that looks similar, 좋아하다. 좋아하다 is an action verb and means to like. You can like something. Like, the verb like can affect something, so you can use it with an object marker, but 좋다 cannot. It's a descriptive verb. 필요하다. In sentences, it'll be translated as to need. 필요하다 actually means to be necessary. And it is not an action verb. Saying that you need something in Korean, they actually say it as that thing is necessary. So if you say, I need water, you wouldn't say, I necessary water, right? You would say, water is necessary. 물이 필요해요. 물이 필요해요. 저는 물이 필요해요. I need water. I haven't actually shown you an example of using the object marker. Let me do that first before I do this. 저는 피자를 먹어요. So I, as for me, I eat. Well, what do I eat? What is it that this verb is eating? What is it affecting? What is this verb 먹다 affecting directly? Pizza. That's what the object marker is used. What is the action verb doing something directly to? Mark it. There's another time when you do not want to use the object marker. Anytime you're talking about communication, the object marker is not used to say, I called that person or I asked that person. When you're asking someone something, you are asking to a person what those verbs are actually affecting, such as calling, asking, or speaking, or telling, or saying. What you're actually affecting, the actual object of those verbs, is not the person. The object is actually the words that you're conveying. You actually need to use the particle meaning to. Now, this can be commonly 에게 in written or formal usage, or ante in more casual or everyday usage. But you'd want to say, actually, I asked to him or her, or I called, I said it to, I talked to a person. So if you were to say, please call me, you wouldn't say 저를 전화해 주세요. That would be wrong. You would say 저에게 전화해 주세요. Please call to me. So any verb that has to do with communicating. The same actually applies for the verb 주다, or anytime you're giving something to someone. Anytime you're doing something for someone else, you'll also use to. So if you wanted to say, give me a present, what's the object? Is the object me? Give me? No, you're not giving me. So you want to make sure you're using to. If you were to use the object marker with this, what it is what you're actually giving. So you can say 선물을 주다, to give a present. So you give a present to me. 저에게 선물을 주세요. Please give a present to me. I know a lot of beginners and even intermediates learn that you can actually remove the object marker when you're speaking, that it's optional. Yes and no. There are lots of times when it's totally okay not to say the object marker. If it's very clear that that's the object of something in context, then you can remove the object marker. But that doesn't always apply. For example, if you wanted to say 저 좋아해요, I like it, it can be assumed you mean 저는 좋아해요. But it also, in context, could be assumed to mean someone you're talking about, 저를 좋아해요, likes me. So it could be vague in some situations. You can remove the object marker anytime it can be clearly assumed that it would be there otherwise. If there's any hint, though, of ambiguity, you must use it, or risk being misunderstood or saying something that doesn't make sense. You might see a lot of sentences that have a noun and then the object marker here, and then 하다, 공부, to study, 수영하다, to swim, 요리하다, to cook. And literally what they mean is 하다, to do whatever this noun is. 공부를 하다 literally therefore means to do. And what is it that you're directly affecting with this verb to do? What is it that you're doing? Well, you're doing 공부. Anytime you see a verb that has 하다 with the object marker after a noun, any sort of verb like this, you can actually remove it whenever you want. And it's not going to be vague. That doesn't mean it's better to remove it or more natural to remove it, but it's not going to be misunderstood if you have this sort of construction with an object marker in between. However, if you're going to remove the object marker, you also have to remove something else, and that is the space. So if you're going to use the object marker, it would be 공부를 spaced with 하다. If you do not use the object marker, you actually must stick the verb 하다 back against the noun. So you get this, 공부하다. These are some common contractions that you'll see. 것을, so the object marker after 것, in any situation, can become 걸. 저를, for me, 절. 나를, for me, 날. 너를, for you when you're speaking down to someone or you're really close friends, 널. Anytime that a noun ends with a vowel, you can actually attach the object marker by simply attaching this letter by itself. We have 어디, meaning where. 어디를. This word 어디 ends in a vowel, so you could actually shorten this down to 어디를. But don't. It kind of makes your Korean sound a bit slangy. Next, let's talk about transitive and intransitive verbs. There are two main types of action verbs. Transitive action verbs are the ones that we were already talking about. Things like to like, to eat, to see, to open. These are action verbs that affect something. Intransitive verbs are simply any verb that does not affect something. Descriptive verbs, technically, you can think of them as intransitive because they're not affecting anything. They cannot have an object marker. But there are actually a lot of action verbs. There are a lot of action verbs that actually don't affect something. 끝나다 means to end or to finish. But it doesn't mean that you are finishing something, like I finished my homework. This means your homework finished. Your class ended. There is a transitive version of this verb. 끝내다 has the exact same meaning as 끝나다 in English, to end or to finish, but this is a transitive verb, and this one can do something to something. So this one would be the one that you say when I finished my homework. Passive verbs are also intransitive. This one is 열리다. It is the passive form of 열다. 열다 is a transitive verb, open. You can open a door. You can open a window. 열리다 is a passive version. It means to be opened. You can't be open a window, be open a door. It doesn't do anything to any object. It can't have an object. Keep that in mind. Just because something's an action verb doesn't mean it can use an object. Another very common intransitive verb is 되다. 되다 means to become. 되다 means to become, and it's an intransitive verb. So it's an action verb, but it cannot use an object. Same goes for 이다. You could never say 선생님을 이해요. It doesn't make any sense. Let's do some example sentences now using what we've learned. 어제, yesterday, 친구 를. Now, I'm not even going to finish writing the rest of the sentence. As soon as we see this part of the sentence, the object marker, I feel right now something is going to do something to the friend. Yesterday, friend, well, it's going to be like 99%, it's going to be met or saw or something like that. If it was 친구에게, it could be give something to or say something to, but it's the object marker. So it's going to have to be something you do with a friend. What could you do directly affecting a friend? You could see them, you could meet them, 만났어요. But just getting up to here, any native speaker can feel that coming at the end of the sentence is going to be something like to meet. The object marker dictates that whatever it's used after is what's directly being affected by a transitive action verb. 어제 친구를 만났어요. So yesterday I met. Who did I meet or what did I meet? What noun did this verb 만나다 directly affect? 친구. If someone says, hey, what are you going to do tomorrow? 저는 영화를 it has to be 볼 거예요. It's going to be something like that though. So the Korean listening doesn't even need the whole sentence to be able to react. And we do this in English too, right? When someone's talking, we know what they're going to say before they finish their sentence. That's because Koreans can feel it also because of the object marker. Now, you might be wrong. It could be something else, but probably you can usually assume what is coming after, what the verb is going to be, because where the object marker is affecting. What if you're reading some document and it's like this? You can know what this verb is. Oh yeah, I guess I see it would be like this. So the object marker is super helpful for guessing by hearing a sentence even before it's completed. 저를 몰라요? 모르다, to not know. So you don't know me? 저를 몰라요? 저를 몰라요? Don't you know me? 저도 BTS를 좋아해요. So I also like, 좋아해요. Well, who or what do I like? Who is this verb directly affecting? BTS. 저도 BTS를 좋아해요. So I also like BTS. 추워서, because it is cold, I, 창문을, the window object. So something's going to be affecting the window. What could be directly affecting the window? I'm going to look at the window because it's cold. I'm going to break the window because it's cold. I'm probably going to close the window because it's cold. 닫았어요 or something like that. Maybe 닫을 거예요. I will close it if it's already open. 추워서 창문을 닫았어요. So I closed the window because it's cold or because it was cold. That is the end of our beginner lesson for today. Now let's talk about some more intermediate level things. This is about repetition. There are many times where it's actually used multiple times in a sentence. Let me give you an example. Let's just take a look at this part first. 공부를 할 거예요. I will do studying. So I will study. This, I told you, can be optional. You can either do 공부를 할 거예요 or just 공부할 거예요, and they're both the same. But there's a more natural way you could say this. 저는 한국어를 공부할 거예요. Why? Because of repetition. Because it sounds better. Whenever you have this sort of verb with the object marker after a noun with hada, or it doesn't have to be hada. It can actually be any verb that uses a noun plus the object marker and then a verb. And it comes after something that it's doing something to. You actually want to remove this object marker to make it sound more natural, to avoid repetition. For example, if you wanted to say, I cook pasta, normally you could say, 파스타를, 요리를 해요. But once you add in a second object, well, now you want to remove the object marker in 요리하다. So you're left with 파스타를 요리해요. I cook pasta. Your sentence will not be wrong if you don't do this, but it will be more natural sounding if you do. This is for intermediate and advanced learners. The object marker can actually be used in a similar way as the particle a. The particle a is the location marker. This shows the location that a noun, something or someone, travels to or is located in. For example, you would say, I go to Korea. 저는 한국에 가요. Or, I am in Korea. I am located in Korea. 저는 한국에 있어요. I literally exist in Korea. You cannot use the object marker to say 저는 한국에 있어요. It would be 100% wrong. The object marker, however, can also be used when talking about traveling to a location, moving to a location. When you use this particle, you're implying that the place that you're going to is a goal. Like that's your destination. That's where you're going to end up. When you finished all your traveling, you're going to end up at this destination, which is marked with the object marker. That is how this one is different, and that's how this one has a different nuance. but it's not going to be used with regular verbs that are not conveying motion, because it has to be only used when you're talking about a destination. It's only used with these sorts of motion verbs. So like Hada or oda, or verbs that end with those, 다니다 or dida. You're gonna see this on everyday locations. For example, things like 학교, 학원, your academy, 병원, hospital. By everyday, I just mean really common. You're also gonna see this commonly with travel verbs. 여행을 가다, literally to go on a trip. 유학 would be exchange student, like becoming an exchange student. 소풍, a picnic. 등산, going hiking. And then things like 시집 or 장가, which is getting married. 군대, if you're going to the military, they say 군대를 가다. 어디, 어디를 가. It's also common with some nature words. You'll see things like the mountain or the forest. Let me give you a couple examples of this. 여행을 가고 싶어요. So I want to go, and my destination, my goal is a trip. I want to go on a trip. I also want to 여행을 가고 싶어요. Among these schools, literally, 이 학교들 중에서 어디를 가야 할까요? Where do I need to go? Where should I go? So which of these schools should I go to? 이 학교들 중에서 어디를 가야 할까요? You really do not need to know these next things we're going to learn. And that is some language terms. The object marker is 목적격 조사. 목적 means a goal. And then 조사 means a marker. 목적격 조사, object marker. 주제격 조사, topic marker. Now we have 주제격 조사, topic marker. 주격 조사 is subject marker. So again, all three. 목적격 조사, object marker. 주제격 조사, topic marker. And now we have 주격 조사, subject marker. Do you need to know any of these three words? No. That is our lesson for today. Thank you again, and I will see you all next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.